Pennsylvania is considered one of the most important battleground states in the upcoming presidential election. The Commonwealth will be in the spotlight come November 5th and possibly for days after, depending on how long it takes election workers to count ballots.
4 years ago, Donald Trump's Stop the Steal movement was birthed in Pennsylvania. That's when the then president and his campaign spread disinformation about voter fraud. In reality, Trump's lead in Pennsylvania dwindled as PA's 67 counties processed millions of mail-in ballots. State law passed by Republicans does not allow Pennsylvania to count mail-in ballots ahead of Election Day. 4 days later, once all the ballots were counted, Joe Biden won Pennsylvania. Now, fast forward to today, CBS News Philadelphia is investigating how officials secure your vote here in Pennsylvania. Over the course of this week, we're going behind the scenes with poll workers in 5 Pennsylvania counties. Every county does it a little different.
In our 50th year in the same house.
Jay Snyder became a judge of elections for his Callan Township voting location a couple years ago.
I'll get up at 5, I'll go to Wawa, I'll get a gallon of coffee and donuts, go over to the township building, meet some volunteers over there, start rearranging furniture, setting up for the voting stations.
He says the day is long, almost 15 hours from start to finish, and at the end of the day, Schneider turns over a pouch like this one to election officials containing media drives. That happens at what's known as Central Count in downtown Westchester.
It's just relief, you know, that you're done. You're just tired. And so just go home and relax.
Weeks before Election Day, this room full of shelves deep inside the county's Government Services Center is stocked with supplies for every single polling location.
We have 230 precincts, and they all have similarities. We have the orange pouch, lanyards with tags, a blue bag, privacy screens. This is a call box.
This is Karen Barsoom, Director of Voter Services for Chester County. Some of her colleagues wondered off camera when this wife and mother of 2 ever sleeps. You staying busy these days?
Yes, I'm very busy.
Her words to describe her work in the run-up to Election Day are steady and busy. She says there's nothing slow about it. She was on the phone with the New York Times before our interview, and her staff was a part of 60 Minutes last week. Questions about the integrity of the vote, Barsoom points to Chester County's open book approach to counting the vote, including live feeds and allowing the press in to observe, which is what happened in 2020 as CBS News Philadelphia was able to report vote count updates in real time.
We are educating, we are very transparent, we are encouraging people to learn the process, to know how those processes are being maintained and what is all being done to make sure that the election is safe and secure and that the machines that are being deployed are 100% tested.
Chester, like other counties outside Philadelphia, hopes to complete its vote count by late Wednesday. And people like Jay Snyder say after he was able to observe the process, has no questions about its integrity.
The process it's impossible for anybody to mess around with that because the public has access to the actual facility when it's going on. They can just watch what's going on.
This time of year, you'll find plenty of fall color in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. But come election season, Bucks County is one very distinct color.
We are as purple as you can get.
Considered the biggest swing county in the Commonwealth, election officials are preparing for the spotlight.
We know the eyes of a lot of states and in some cases the world are on us to make sure we get things right.
Bob Harvey, chair of the county's Board of Elections, says they're more prepared now than they were in 2020 to process tens of thousands of mail-in ballots.
When do you expect to have all of those ballots counted?
Well, this is the trap question, right? If I give a time, then I'm going to be locked in, and then people say, "Oh my God, he said it was going to be this time." We are going to start counting at 7. Well, we're going to start opening and processing ballots 7 a.m. on Election Day. We'll start counting, and we won't stop until we're finished.
Ahead of Election Day, voters can send their mail-in ballots back to the county through the U.S. Postal Service, or they can drop it off in one of the 11 ballot boxes around the county.
All the boxes are under 24-hour video surveillance.
A few weeks ago, Harvey showed us the locked room where the ballots are kept until Election Day. This large machine sorts the envelopes as they come in, but state law does not allow workers to even start opening envelopes until 7 a.m. on Election Day. That's when workers begin unstuffing, flattening ballots, and feeding the machines.
It's going to be, probably next to impossible for us to be done on the night of the election, or even maybe early morning of after the election. It's not going to be possible for us to do that.
Did you have any instances of voter fraud in Bucks County in 2020?
There were two that I remember, two incidences of two individuals who submitted ballots for a member of their family who had passed away some point near the election.
Harvey said state death records instantly flagged the ballots and they were removed.
So they didn't count. They didn't count. They weren't even opened.
There are more than 300 precincts across Bucks County for those voting in person. Currently, in a secure warehouse, these cages each hold a voting machine that will be transported to a precinct the week leading up to Election Day.
Are any of these machines connected to the internet at any time?
No, none of the machines are connected to the internet. They're very, very secure.
I got elected to certify the election.
Charlie Serino has been a judge of elections in Upper Moreland Township for more than 30 years. That's 8 presidential elections.
The process is pretty airtight now. It's been improved to the point where it's easy to pull off. It's actually easy to conduct the election. And I'm feeling fairly confident that, the numbers at the end of the day are 100% accurate.
In his 9th presidential election, a big focus is on mail-in balloting. Montgomery County has seen a surge, like other places, with the mail-in ballots. That means officials need to protect those ballots.
Our drop boxes all have cameras 24/7, and they're picked up by sheriffs on a daily basis.
Commissioner Neil McKeeja is chair of the Board of Elections. He says those drop boxes, located across the county, allow voters to drop off their ballots anytime between now and Election Day. Another option for voters, the county recently rolled out a mobile voting office, a truck that can be found around the county at fall festivals and other events.
People were able to register to vote, they were able to request a mail-in ballot, and then submit it on the spot.
One-stop shop.
One-stop shop.
On wheels.
On wheels, yeah.
What it means come Election Day, all of those thousands of mail-in ballots will amount to an onerous counting process that can't begin until polls open at 7 a.m. on Election Day. Montgomery County's vote count happens in this complex in Norristown. It's a process so safeguarded, the county wouldn't allow our cameras to get a look inside.
If we had just one day to start counting those mail-ins, we could have the results on election night, which is what would be ideal.
The commissioner told me he expects the count to be finished by late afternoon the day after Election Day. In 2020, the wait for mail-in ballots fueled questions about the integrity of the vote. Officials are quick to challenge questions about election integrity or security, whether if you vote in person or by mail-in ballot.
The responsibility that I have as an elected official is to ensure that I'm not going to be intimidated or threatened by those who want to cast doubt on this process.
He's talking about the allegations of a stolen election by election deniers in 2020.
Some of those folks are very intentionally misrepresenting the facts in the law, and that was recognized in 60 court decisions in 2020. There was no basis for widespread fraud.
Meanwhile, Montgomery County is making sure that is the story again in 2024. For Charlie Serino, his Election Day work will wrap up when he delivers sealed bags to the county containing discs that record vote tabulations, part of a redundant system, along with the paper ballots, in case there are questions about the authenticity of election results.
What's that moment like when you turn that over?
It's satisfying because you're done after a 13 or 14-hour day.
Sounds very official.
It is official. You sign an oath in the beginning that you're going to obey all the laws of Pennsylvania voting, and everybody to come in is counting on us to do it right, and we do our best to do it right.
This huge building in Northeast Philly used to be a Bible printing factory, but come November 5th, it will be the hub for Philadelphia's election results.
Officials in the Democratic stronghold of Philadelphia have been preparing for the upcoming presidential election since the day they finished counting the mail-in ballots 4 years ago.
We saw the process lasted days and days in 2020. Are we going to be dealing with that again here in Philadelphia?
Yeah, it does take a lot of time to review, open, flatten, and count hundreds of thousands of ballots.
However, this time around, city commissioners don't expect as many mail-in ballots.
Yeah, they just like to vote in person. I mean, a lot of that is from the misinformation and disinformation about mail-in voting.
Commissioner Chairman Omar Sabir says his team has worked hard to combat the false sense of insecurity surrounding mail-in ballots.
People have been told that vote by mail is not secure, that vote by mail is criminal.
Back at the warehouse in Northeast Philly, Commissioner Seth Bluestein gives a tour of the enormous operation that will start 7 a.m. on Election Day. That's when state law allows workers to begin opening envelopes and processing mail-in ballots.
So this is really a machine to open envelopes.
It will assist with opening. Every single envelope still has to be touched by a person. They still have to be removed from the envelope.
Neither city commissioner would give an estimate on when the hundreds of workers are expected to be finished counting ballots.
We're going to count 24 hours a day. All right, we're going to do it as fast as we can. We're going to do it rapidly, accurately. We're going to do it with transparency.
If we have 200,000 ballots returned to us for this election, each of those is inside of a secrecy envelope, which is inside of the return envelope, which means we will have 600,000 pieces of paper that all have to be touched by a person throughout the process. That takes a lot of time.
Officials say they've upgraded machine software, expanded their staff, and are more prepared for the vote-by-mail dump.
If we don't know the result on election night, it is not a sign that there's anything wrong. It is a sign of that the staff continuing to do their job.
Ballots have already started pouring into the warehouse. This machine sorts the envelopes into the proper district.
And then they will get stored in a locked cage where they are secured until we're able to pre-canvass them on election day.
Sabir says Philadelphians have options when it comes to casting your ballot.
We recommend that you take advantage of our Eagles Green drop box locations, or you drop it off at one of the satellite locations,
where people can request a mail-in ballot, get one printed, and vote right on the spot.
Have a seat at the table and take your time.
Commissioners expect the majority, at least 70% of Philadelphians, will vote in person on Election Day. We weren't allowed to bring cameras into the storage area where those machines are kept. They'll soon be sent to precincts around the city.
All of Philadelphia's election results at the end of the night come here, whether it's mail ballots, in-person ballots from the polling place, provisional ballots, everything related to the election ends up back at this warehouse.
The entire counting process is under video surveillance. It's actually live streamed and anyone can watch. Police and private security will be guarding the building. Now, if you are voting by mail, election officials across the area encourage you to go ahead and get that done. If you forgot to sign or date your outer envelope, or you forgot the secrecy sleeve, most counties try to alert you that there's a problem with your ballot. But the closer it gets to Election Day, the harder it is to track people down to fix them.
Delaware County's 36 ballot drop boxes are now online and under constant watch and supervision. The county released nearly 60,000 absentee and mail-in ballots for the general election.
Consulted with her from Chicago.
Jim Allen, the county's elections director, says the planning is over and the county is in action mode.
What's it like to be the director of elections in a county just outside Philadelphia?
I love it. I love it. You have the chance to try to make sure that everything goes as smoothly as possible and try to anticipate all the different wrinkles.
This former City Hall bureau chief for a Chicago newspaper expects fewer mail-in ballots this year compared to 2020. That means more voters at Delco's 428 polling locations for the presidential election than at the height of the pandemic 4 years ago.
I don't think this is going to be anything like 2020. I think it's going to be far smoother, barring any unexpected circumstances.
What gives you that confidence?
Past elections. Recent past elections, where our poll workers express satisfaction and comfort level, and we have more precincts coming in sooner and the paperwork coming in more cleanly.
Allen described the behind-the-scenes process of setting up polling locations like jump-starting hundreds of businesses.
This is the weirdest business model in all of business because you have to open up
hundreds of franchises with people who only work there 2 times a year and make sure that everything goes smoothly according to any changes in the law and that all the results are buttoned down within 2 hours or something fishy is going on.
The county declined our request for access to where its vote will be counted on election night, which is located inside an office complex on the waterfront in Chester. Allen had a bullish prediction when Delaware County would complete its vote count. Not days after polls close, but maybe hours.
Hopefully we're done early Wednesday morning. I can't promise we'll be done by early Wednesday morning, but we want to have the lion's share of results in by the time the 11 o'clock news starts.
Allen dismissed questions about the integrity of the process, encouraging critics to get informed.
If I can encourage voters, don't trust me. Talk with your neighbors who are the poll workers who are actually executing this work in your neighborhood. They're opening the doors and making sure that you have the right to vote on Election Day. That's where the rubber meets the road, and we couldn't do it without them.
Emphasizing this point, the director of elections here in Delaware County says that while they will aim to have that vote count completed by the time CBS News Philadelphia at 11 comes on the air, in reality, it will most likely be concluded by Wednesday morning.